The following podcast is sponsored by Bunderin Press. Bunderin Press is a Canadian publisher of quality science fiction titles, including this month's releases of Duatro by Brad C. Anderson, The Dark Corridor by Jennifer Ron, and The Sixth Helix by Al Anya. Check these books and more at bunderinpress.ca. And by Adam Dries. Adam's latest release, 5 Critical Things for Successful Book Science, is available now at Amazon, Kobo, and all other places you can get books electronically, and the physical release will be May 30th at Owlsnest Books at 7 p.m. Be there. Welcome, everyone, to episode 261 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff and podcast today. My guest is the incredible Tash McAdam. Tash is a young adult science fiction writer. The work that produced reminds me very much of the X-Men, and in the best possible way. I hope that comparison is good for Tash, because I mean it. But this is also a very educational conversation for me. You'll get into more details about that in part 2. This is a very fun opening, though. We talk about, we talk TV, we talk fight scenes, we talk about overcoming hardships and a lot of other things as well. This was a very, I learned an awful lot with this conversation, and I think you will too. Now, beyond all that, my sponsors, Bunderin Press, have a giveaway for 49th Parallels, which is edited by Hayden Trenholm. This is alternative Canadian histories and futures. I love these kind of anthologies. These are some of my favorites. Hayden put together a great book here. There's some really good ones in here. I'm looking at it now, wishing it was mine. But it's a great book, and you should definitely go for it. I'm giving away another copy of 5 Critical Things for Successful Book Signings by Adam Dries. Once again, I have a link below in the description. You click on the link, you put your email in. Next Sunday, I will draw it, and then I will announce the winner on Monday's episode, which will be episode 263. As for the winners, stay tuned. I'm coming to you at the end of this. But for now, let's get into our conversation, shall we?
So anyway, the recorder is officially on. So, do you have any good incriminating stories you'd like to open up with?
Incriminating stories?
Well, we're live, right? So we gotta have the good stuff.
What level of crime are we talking about?
Any kind of crime. Whatever you feel comfortable sharing to the world that you can plead the fifth on, now that long statutes are done.
Last night I ate so much meat at a barbecue restaurant that it might have been a crime.
Not sure eating meat's a crime. What kind of meat what'd you eat?
We got the everything plate at the Memphis barbecue place down the street from us, and it was all of the meat.
All of the meat. Oh.
Yeah.
So you put yourself into a coma.
Yeah, I still have a bit of a meat problem. I came home and I wasn't drunk at all, but I could hardly walk in a straight line. That's how much meat I ate.
That's a lot of meat. That's impressive.
Thanks.
Did you pick a fight with somebody prior to that, or you just had you're just a machine?
It was just, my partner's dad was in town. He loves barbecue, so we thought we would go to the local barbecue joint, and I have some regrets this morning.
Oh. Yeah, when you're a little younger, you can take everything. When you get a little older, your body's like, listen, we need to have a talk.
Yeah.
You can't do this anymore. But I want to do this, and the body's like, and you go, It's like, okay. When as you get older, there's more pain. Pardon?
I'm clinging on to my youth with both hands and still operating as though I can eat and drink the way that I did when I was in my mid-20s, but it's no longer the case.
Actually, you're kind of hard. I actually pictured you kind of like late 20s at most. How old are you? Or am I afraid? Or is this a little early to ask that question?
No, it's fine. I'm 31, although I have been telling people recently that I'm 32, so I have accelerated my age for some reason. I don't know why that happened. I forgot how old I was.
Oh, so like your birthday coming up soon or something like that?
Nope, December, so still quite some time.
You're just trying to get on with it. It looks like you're like, okay, listen.
Oh yeah.
I want more numbers. I want more wisdom.
Like, babe, you're not 32 yet. You're 31, and I was like, wait, what? Really?
Really?
It was a surprise.
Yeah. So how are you today? How are you besides the meat coma? Right?
Really good. Yeah, we just had some coffee and watched an episode of Santa Clarita Diet, which is the best possible way to spend a lazy Saturday morning.
That's fantastic. I was talking. I think I'm getting a girlfriend. I'm not 100% sure it's going that way, but it feels pretty solid. So I spend the morning chatting with her, and then I'm like, well, I gotta talk to the amazing. Although I only met you really briefly at Creative Inc. You seemed awesome, and I figured you'd be fun to chat with. So
I tricked you with a good first impression.
yes, you did. You could, for all I know, be the evilest person ever, like the Dr. Evil of evil. I don't know. I try not to judge a book by its cover.
If I was evil, I like to think I would be more competent than Dr. Evil, but I'm pretty sure I'm not evil.
Okay, but
I think I'm.
but you're definitely more competent than Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
Okay, totally.
If I was to be evil, I would be better at it than he is.
Okay.
But I'm definitely chaotic good.
Chaotic good?
Yeah.
Ah, gamer. Gotcha. So what do you play?
I actually am not a gamer. I just spend a lot of time on the internet.
You said
You can't escape the alignment chart.
no, I'd be somewhere between lawful and chaotic. I have a little bit of a whimsical nature, but I hate to say it, I'm closer to a paladin than I am a rogue.
See, I'm morally good if it's an immoral but it's human laws that bother me, especially as we slide into fascism.
Well, depending on what part of the world you are, we haven't slid. We are there.
Yeah.
If you go by Mussolini's definition of fascism, which is the merger of corporate and government, the United States is already there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, right. They're already there. As for us, we're kind of there. We're it's interesting today because this is gonna sound like a back in my day kind of thing for a second, but it feels like way back in the day, our grandparents were willing to lose everything to fight for what rights they had. Our parents, for the most part, lost that fight, and now we're learning how to fight this again, but we're almost behind the 8 ball this time.
Definitely. We've been, I don't know, as a generation, we're just completely overstimulated by horrible, depressing things that we feel like we can't do anything about, and it's taken away all of our energy, I think.
The irony is, I find actually now as I get older, I can do a lot more. It's amazing. It's amazing how frightening you are to some people when you truly. I do 2 things. One, I let people do exactly what they want to do, and I don't give any excuses for it, which bothers some people, which is funny. But the other thing is, I just don't tolerate crap. I'm at that point in my life where it's just honestly, fuck it. If you're gonna, I'll be nice to you, but don't mistake my kindness or weakness. I'll crush you. And I don't care who you are. So
that should be your tagline. Just don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I'll crush you.
Pretty much. If I was a video game final boss, that would be it. You know, that would be my tagline. But you learn this as you get older because thing is.
You have to tell me how old you are now, because that's the second reference.
I'm 37.
37.
I'm 37. I'm 37. A little older than you.
We're still the same generation, though.
Yeah. We are. You're near the bottom end of it, and I'm at the top of the tail end there. But
I love it when people slag off millennials, and I'm like, you know that lots of millennials are in their late 30s now, right?
Yeah. Well,
Children on the bus playing their music out loud from their phone speakers. Those aren't millennials.
No, actually, the hilarious part to me is so my dad was talking about how terrible millennials are, and I'm like, I'm technically one, right? Well, you're different. No, I'm technically in that group, right? I'm at the tail end. Like I was born in '81, so I'm like right at the tail end of Gen X / like I'm literally right there. But yeah, I'm technically a millennial. I look at it. I look at this like I look at the world kind of like this, and it's like I'm guaranteed nothing because everything I've seen my parents fight, it's slowly being eroded. There's no stability anymore in anything. So anything I go for, I have to basically fight for. And it sounds like it's adversarial. It's just not. You just recognize that this world is really about, okay, if you're looking in terms of what you want in this world, it's about going for it and not settling for a no, or not taking anyone telling you this is where you need to be. It's like, fuck that. I'm only living once. I'm getting what I want, and you have to be willing to pay the price sometimes. But if you're willing to do that, you can impose your will on the world a little bit. It doesn't always work out the way you want it to exactly, but by and large, your mind tends to move towards where you're going, I find.
A little bit. I don't know. I feel like people with lots of money are able to impose their will and do whatever they want and get all of the advantages in whatever areas they would like to excel in.
But if you have no money, you're almost in the same boat in one sense. And here's what I mean. You have nothing to lose. Like, you have absolutely nothing to lose. And because you have nothing to lose, it's not that you're bulletproof exactly, but nothing really stops you. Where people get stuck is when they actually have something. And even if it's not much, they actually have something in this life, and they're like, well, if I go for this, I might lose it. And if you get really comfortable with it, you kind of get stuck. But if you have nothing to lose, or you got all the monies, right? You're almost in the same boat. You can, if you got nothing to lose, you're not afraid of anything because you're already at the bottom. And if you got everything, you can afford to pay any prices that come your way. It's oddly the same boat in one sense. So,
alright. Yeah. I've worked pretty hard in my life, but I've never once felt like I had nothing to lose.
I've been there. So I know what that feels like.
I've always had my family and friends around me and certain advantages that I could have thrown away.
Yeah.
And didn't want to.
And nothing wrong with that. It's just like, for me, I've chased my dreams. I've paid some prices along the way, and there's been times where I've literally been in the middle of nowhere with not really much going for me. And what it taught me was, one, I can withstand an awful lot, and I think that's true with everybody. I think people are a lot more resilient than they give themselves credit for. What you can endure, what you can actually move past, is nothing short of incredible. But right. The other thing, though, is once you're there, you just recognize, like, you're not afraid of it anymore. You're not afraid to lose if you have nothing. If you
there's always your, like, I don't know, physical abilities, your body, like.
It's mental too.
There's always danger.
What?
If there's always danger, there's always something to lose, I think.
Yeah, but there are points. There are points, and then there are points. I lived in the United States at a very impoverished level, and I had to do some incredible things to survive. I learned an awful lot about myself during that time. Frankly, since that point, I'm not scared of a lot of things anymore. All right, it taught me an awful lot about. I'm not afraid of hitting rock bottom because I've been there, and two, I don't worry about a lot of the same things a lot of other people do. So I come across sometimes a little crazy, but at the same token, I don't. Where some people are willing to stop, I don't. I just keep going, and there's a strength to that. I find that, again, I find that no matter where you are, you have a lot more power than you realize. I think the real struggle today is recognizing that what you are truly capable of.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not don't completely agree or disagree on that?
I disagree. I have some trauma that's made me more afraid and taken away a lot of my strength.
I'm sorry you went through all that. Like, for me, it made me stronger. Like, for what I went through. So I don't have that fear anymore. All right, it went deep.
Now when men shout at me, I don't shout back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, there's always stuff I might not have.
Oh, I'm truly sorry about that. It's a more,
like, walking through the world as like an openly queer person who is perceived by society as queer. Like, there's an element of danger to that I never get to escape from.
No, you don't. But I don't want to come off as preachy or belittling, because that is definitely something I've never experienced. But
I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying that for you that's wrong. I'm just saying that there's people in the world who you don't know what you have to lose until someone takes it off you, kind of thing.
Yeah. I just think we've been at two different parts of that spectrum. I've been at the part where I've had literally everything taken away from me, like in terms of every like physical thing, right? So
but you're talking about like possessions.
I'm talking about possessions. I'm talking about wondering where your next meal is coming from. I'm talking about like facing things like starvation, your mortality. Like I've been through like the rock bottom of that, and I know what that.
And I'm totally sorry that you've lived through that.
I'm actually not, because it taught me an awful lot about myself. I don't want to make it like sound like a glorious thing, because it was a shitty time in my life, but what it taught me in terms of strength, resiliency, what I can do, where I can be at my very best, I will never ever I never forget. Even when I'm going for something really, really cool, like this week when I'm on non-spec, like that's a cool thing. I'm already thinking about what's next. I'm already thinking about what else I want to achieve this year. And when I release my first book this year, I'm already thinking about the next book and the next. Like I have that experience in my life gave me a hunger that it made me want what I want more, if that makes sense. It's just like, I went through all this, I went through the ringer, it wasn't so bad, let's do it again. And that's me, right?
I mean, definitely in terms of like story writing and publishing, the stuff that I've been through has really influenced my creative energy, both positively and negatively at different points. But it has always made me more passionate about writing the stories that I want to write, which often do deal with like queer trans characters.
Yeah, but like what you're talking about, what you've been through. I mean, it's sadly it's a far more common problem than I'd like to admit. Talking about to missing, like just in general, I have found that a lot of people in my generation and younger don't know how to deal with women. Like, and they're guys. It's kind of strange to me. Because
I took my undergrad degrees in computer science.
Yeah.
And there were 3 women and me, and everybody else, like almost 300 people, were men.
That must have been terrifying.
It wasn't terrifying at all. They were really sweet men. It was just a very interesting
dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic, and a place to be part of that community was really fascinating.
I did that. For me, I was the only guy in a Spanish class, essentially. I was one of only 2 guys in a Spanish class. I wanted to learn Spanish, and everybody else was a woman. It was like, how did this happen? How did this happen? But I mean, nothing quite like that. That's an interesting thing.
It was wild. I mean, it was great, and I have some friends for life.
Oh yeah.
It was just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, no, that would be an intriguing dynamic to get into. So you still do computer science?
Technically, I'm qualified as a high school teacher to teach computer science, but it's not what I want to be teaching. Really, I'm more passionate about teaching English.
Yeah. So you're a teacher. You're a teacher by trade?
Yeah, I'm a high school teacher in Vancouver.
Oh, nice. So
that's my day job.
That's your day job. So you're a superhero teacher. I always think teachers are very underrated in terms of what they contribute to society. I feel like we're at our absolute best when our teachers are good and are allowed to actually teach the way they're passionate about.
I mean, I think that if anybody engages with it on a like critical thought level, people who are parents especially know how hard it is to parent 1 kid or 2 kids or 3 kids or God forbid more than that. We have 28 of them.
You have 28. You're really outnumbered.
That they don't want to learn.
I'm sure you have the odd one here and there that wants to learn, I hope.
No, of course. I meant we have to teach them things like math, which, overwhelmingly 95% of people are afraid of math.
it gets complicated in high school. Like it's before, it's like, hey,
my partner teaches elementary school, and I would say that her job is harder than mine.
I wouldn't doubt it. Like, but for me, I remember when I was in up to the 8th grade, I loved math. When I got to high school, it because of the way algebra, I just for whatever reason it didn't click with me right away. It got a lot harder. So I went.
If the teachers had smaller classes and more time to spend with you, maybe it would have done. Like it breaks our hearts every day that we don't have the ability to support our kids even more than we try to do.
Well, yeah, you only have so much time in the day, and and you have too many kids, and every kid.
Yeah, in high school you have like 130 to 150 kids a day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, over the 2 days because it's a 2-day rotation.
So 2-day rotation. So that means if you're lucky, 100. So we'll divide that in half. Say 75 per day. You're there 6 to 8 hours a day.
8.
8. Okay, so you're 8 hours a day. That means you have an average of about 5 minutes per kid. If you're lucky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My partner, she's elementary, right? So she keeps her same students all day. So she has 27 over the instructional hours for elementary school. So she gets to spend more time with them, but she also has to be an expert, able to teach every subject.
Yeah, no, the responsibilities of an elementary school teacher are in high school. There's more specific stuff you can teach. Although I have seen my fair share. I mean, I'm not saying it's you, but I have seen high school teachers often dealt hands where they're not like, hey, I can teach English. I am a phys ed teacher. Hey, I can do phys ed. I'm teaching physics. What the?
Yeah, that definitely happens. And I mean, again, that's a problem with the way that the structure is set up for teachers right now.
Yeah, it's been that way for a long time, sadly.
Thanks, Christy Clark.
Yeah. But it's just in general. I mean, that's just the challenges of like.
Of course, and I mean, we love it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it.
No, I mean, it's one of the things. So you're a teacher. So are you a writer first, teacher second, or is it teacher first, writer second?
Both simultaneously. I think that writing, like in a way, is teaching.
Yeah.
For me, like I tell the stories. I mean, humanity throughout history uses stories to share ideas and share points of view and share perspectives, which is all education, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're taking things away from every book that we read. So the things that I'm putting into the books that I write, I have certain ideas about what I want people to perceive from those stories, and in a way I think of that as being education as well.
Absolutely. Writing is like stories in general are the art of empathy. Like when you are reading a character in a story, you are in one sense living through their experience.
Exactly.
Right.
It's the only medium where we get that internal narrative from the characters.
Exactly. Which is great because it shapes your life. Like whether I'm reading something like a Kate Daniels book, or maybe I'm reading something like from Robert Jordan, or maybe I'm reading something from Charles DeLint, right? Whatever I'm reading, right? I'm getting an association with that character, and on some level, no matter who that character is, there's a connection there, right?
Yeah,
because there's
you wouldn't read the book, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's because the narrative and the dialogue are things. Some of these things are things I've thought of, and things that I've seen and done, and you're like, okay, I understand. It's like the best thing about literature is that you realize you're not alone in your struggles, whatever your struggles are, because the other characters, other people have been through similar paths in the journey, which is great. You're not alone. No matter, even if you are by yourself when you read, you're not alone in this journey. Other people have been there.
Which brings us nicely to the need for more diversity in fiction.
Absolutely. So
we can empathize more broadly with more different experiences.
We're in a really interesting time today, in the sense that there are more books coming out now than ever before. And it's more niche in one sense than ever before. Like, if I want to find a vampire superhero steampunk novel, I can find a vampire superhero steampunk novel somewhere, right? If I want to find a how to put this. If I want to find a werewolf, science fiction, alien invasion story, I can find that. Like wherever, like it.
That one.
What?
I think I've read that one.
Oh, really? Cool. But I mean, we live in it, like, in one sense, that's the cool thing about indie publishing, is you can find
Very
something.
much so, yeah.
Right? It's there. You just have to look. You will find.
You have to look for it, and looking for it can pose a real barrier for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't even know that it's possible to find those stories.
I think.
Like, I work with young people, and they often are like, "Oh, I just want to like read something like this," and they'll describe it, and I'm like, "Oh, I can find that for you. Like, give me 20 minutes and an internet connection. I'll find that book.
Hello.
Like, I'll find the exact book that you're dreaming." Hello.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's like, hello, good for eats my old friend. Yay, here. But I mean, yeah, no. Hello.
I thought I lost the connection.
No, you didn't lose the connection. I was about to say hello, good for eats my old friend, as a terrible musical interlude. But no, I mean, that's the cool thing about today. And I think as time goes on, that's going to become a much more common way of finding books you want.
Oh, for sure. Like, I grew up reading fan fiction because that was the only place that I could find the stories that I wanted to read.
What'd you fanfic?
I used to read a lot of Xena Ubers.
Okay.
You know what an Uber is?
I know Uber means super.
It's
but
modern retellings, so they would take the Xena characters and drop them into, like, modern day.
Okay.
Basically what you're getting is just, like, a modern lesbian contemporary story.
Yes.
Sometimes science fiction, sometimes, like, I mean, you could find almost anything, specifically in the context of Xena Uber, I would say. Also, every story you might ever want to read about lesbians, specifically, because they're always gay.
Okay.
Exists, and for me as, like, a young person, I had no idea where to look for books, like gay books at all. Like, I went to my library when I was like 11 and asked them for books about girls who wanted to be boys, and they gave me Tamora Pierce, The Woman Who Rides Like a Man, which is a great story, but turns out is not a queer narrative at all.
That would be, so, let's see, growing up, the only authors I know that even tried anything in that realm were Mercedes Lackey, who, by the way, is an awesome human being.
I was just at my friend's house the other day, and she has, like, the full Mercedes Lackey back catalogue. And I've never read any of her. Like, I don't know if maybe she just didn't make it to the UK when I was growing up.
She was...
or if the people I was talking to just didn't know her.
No, she's always had a solid following, but she's never been, like, a bestseller. But the best thing about her was she would, again, different characters, different worlds, different genres. The first openly gay story I think I read was Magic's Pawn, Magic's Price, like that whole trilogy. The main character's gay, and that was just part of the story, not a big deal. But again, they did it, and I want to say Lynn Flowing, but I'm not 100% sure I got the writer right.
I have the Bone Dolls twin on my.
Okay.
Now it's the next book I'm gonna read.
Yeah, no, she did that too, and the only other author I can think of that even tried anything like that was Ursula Le Guin.
Yeah, I read Ursula Le Guin when I was little.
Yeah, so.
I'm talking about my, like, explorative years before looking things up on Goodreads was possible, and before I was good at Googling stuff anyway. Like, 11 through 14, I was mostly reading fanfic. Just because that was the only place that I could find queer narratives of any kind.
Fair enough.
There's some really bad fanfic in the world.
Yeah, there really is. There's some hilarious ones, too.
I mean, there's some fantastic ones.
Absolutely.
Up there with some of the great literature of our time, but...
Well, it's interesting, because I'm writing a science fiction about the cloud being archaeology. And one of the things I always wondered, like, what is going to survive from our age? And I was thinking spam, and maybe fan fiction.
Archive of our own.
Yeah. Because it's there, right? I mean,
standing.
Well, I mean, just for, like, I mean, if when I am an old man and I'm finally at the point where I'm not doing anything anymore, maybe what I will do is I'll go back, because all these stories are still there. Like, if you look for them, you will find them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? So, I mean, there's plenty of reading material, so I could find a really creative take on Xena. The only thing I didn't like about that show was the fight scenes. That's the only thing I didn't like about that show at all.
I didn't watch the show until I was like 21.
Oh wow!
I had no idea about the characters or anything that I was reading. It was just the only place I could find like lesbian stories.
Fair enough. What did live up to the hype, or was the fan fiction better?
They're very different. I never read any of the ones that are like set in Xena compliant universe.
Okay.
The show, I mean, it's campy. It's a fun time.
Oh! By and large, yeah.
It's normal, but it's definitely not like a show that I would say was like in my top like changing shows that I like think about. You know?
No, I get you. I get you. It was, like I said, it was fun for its time. It was fun for its time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an enjoyable romp.
Yeah.
I like mythology and fighting. The fight scenes are hilarious. Like, as a martial artist, watching them, you just have to be like, this is fine.
Yeah. It's like...
Don't engage.
Yes.
Don't engage critically, only enjoy.
Yes. Don't think about this too much, because sometimes I thought it's like, there's no way. It's like, oh.
There's always no way. I mean, half the time, her chakram, the thing that she throws, cuts through one thing and then bounces off another thing that's the exact same thing.
Yes.
It's magic.
Hey, listen, the chakra was awesome, right? For me, it was the flips. It was all of the flips.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It was that was the thing. It's like, no way. Like, no effing way. Just stop.
No way. But she's got superpowers, right? It's like Buffy. You watch her skinny little
but
it's fine. She's a superhero.
But Buffy, I could buy more, because just simply not because like she was supposedly endowed with like super strength and regenerative powers.
So Xena,
What?
So Xena.
Not really. Like she would like she was in the I could be wrong on this. But she was never acknowledged as a god, like Hercules was like a half god, right? She was acknowledged as a badass human being, but a human being nonetheless, right? So
I always interpreted her as, a little bit godlike.
Towards the end of the show, absolutely, but
Buffy, the fight scenes were like more believable because of the superpower, but boy, were they inconsistent.
Oh god, no! That was not Joss Whedon's strong suit. That's just.
Right. Oh my god! Why are you counteracting your own canon?
Because he doesn't. I think one of the big interesting things about fight scenes to me is fights. I'm a pro wrestling fan, and yes, pro wrestling is completely BS in terms of a real fight. Like there are some things that would be devastating if they were real, but let's be honest, some of those things are just that they never happen in a million years. Just too acrobatic. But one of the things I really do like about pro wrestling is there's a story to a match. Especially like if you watch the older stuff, there's a story. Like for example, if someone has a move that beats everybody, right? Right? Everything they're doing in that match is to get to beat everybody, like almost like a real fight. And the opponent, if they're close to an equal, right, is trying to do the same thing, all the while avoiding that person's knockout punch, which is what I equate a finisher to. Like if you have a knockout punch in a real fight, you're gonna go for the knockout punch. Makes sense, right? So. I always looked at fighting in terms of storytelling. Like, there's a story to a fight, right?
And I've seen Glow, so now I feel like I know lots about wrestling.
Glow is... I used to watch the original Glow show. I loved it. Way back when I was a kid, I used to be... I was allowed to stay up... Well, it used to come on at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I remember that. I used to watch it. But no, there's a story... There's a... there is a language to every kind of storytelling, including fighting, right?
Yeah.
Right, and I feel like when we talk about Xena or Buffy, they didn't understand that language, Sometimes I think in the case of Xena, they knew it was bad and they just went with it.
And they didn't care, like it was part of the fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. Buffy, I kind of feel like they tried, but they didn't completely understand what they were doing.
Yeah, and they really, I don't know, changed it when they needed to for plot reasons.
Yes.
And they didn't worry too much about it, which is fine. I love Buffy. But boy, the fight scenes.
And that is part 1 of my conversation with Tash McAdam. Part 2 will be up Thursday. We get more Buffy stuff. We get some really other cool stuff. And like I said, I learned an awful lot with this conversation, and I think you will too if you continue listening to it. Tash, thanks very much for coming on my show. You're welcome back anytime you want. A couple things before we get to announcing the winners. Adam's book launch for 5 Critical Things for Successful Book Signings is taking place this week at Owl's Nest Books, 7 p.m. Thursday night. You should definitely go and check it out. Adam's an amazing talent, writer. He's a good friend of mine. It's a great book. You should definitely check it out. Beyond all that, it's wearing time. So, Donald Lee Broomhall, you won a copy of Strange Bedfellows. I will come contact you and pick it up. Congratulations for winning. Edwin Downward, congratulations. You got a copy of 5 Critical Things for Successful Book Signings on the way to you. I'll be contacting you later on today for this more information. Beyond all that, how the paradigm shift. I think the coolest thing is I'm being approached now by strangers about how much they like the podcast. It's kind of a cool thing that happened to me tonight, and it kind of made me feel really good, which is nice. It's nice to know that people are listening. So guys, thank you very much for that. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. So if you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of ways. First off, you can support my sponsors, bunderandpress.ca, Adam Drees' 5 Critical Things. You should definitely check out that book launch. Do so. Support them. They're awesome. Thanks, guys, for having faith in me. My podcast itself is on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and, of course, on Podomatic. You can subscribe to it, listen to it. By all means, check this out. My books, The Watcher, Stormdancer, Wandering God, are available through MirrorWorldPublishing.com. Mirrorworld Publishing has a little promotion right now for The Watcher. You should definitely check that out. Outside of that, my YouTube channel is Joshua Pantallarosco. However you want to support me, even just listening to this episode, thank you very much. I appreciate it very, very much. Part 2 will be airing this Thursday. And until then, guys, stay inspired and keep doing your thing.
Josh.